Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Ileana, and I'm a librarian for the San Francisco Public Library. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so happy you're here with us to celebrate Women's History Month with Karen Luk. We celebrate women everywhere with our program series, Her Story. Check out the Her Story webpage of the San Francisco Public Library to see our upcoming events, find great books by women authors and illustrators, and more. We are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula and continue to live, work, and play here today. As the indigenous stewards of this land and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. We wish to pay our respects by acknowledging the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush community and by affirming their sovereign rights as First Peoples. And thank you to the Friends of the San Francisco Public Library for their generous support of this entire program series. We couldn't do this without them. I would love to introduce Karen Luk, who will be leading this drawing workshop today. Karen Luk is a drawer of words, a writer of images, and the occasional instructor in the Bay Area. Definitely a library favorite. She creates manga inspired comics. At state and national conferences, she's presented on manga origins, anime history, and comics as a storytelling medium. The Cartoon Art Museum and Google have both exhibited her artwork, and she's taught comic drawing workshops at museums and public libraries. She's a graduate of the California College of Art and located in San Jose, California. Currently, she is developing a graphic novel, and she always has things in the works. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. This is going to be a very interactive workshop, so hope you all are ready for Karen Luk. Welcome, Karen.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Leona, for that great introduction. All right, so let me share my screen here. All right, so here's our workshop workspace. I hope you have your pencil and paper ready. I'm going to be using, excuse me, I will be using Clip Studio Paint, which is a great drawing program if you're not familiar with it. It is cheaper than Photoshop, and it doesn't have a subscription service. So that's the most common question I get here for programs. So it's called Clip Studio Paint, and there are a couple different versions of it, just so you're aware. The one I'm using is the desktop version. There is an iPad version, which I believe is subscription-based, and then there's two versions, a Pro version and EX version. So you should look it up if you're interested, and then figure out which one would be most useful to you. So here we go. All right. So let's get started here. So of course, the first question I would like to ask is, what makes a hero? I'll write it out here. Right. So we want some things to know about our hero. So let's decide some things about our hero. We can use your own if you have ideas here. Feel free to enter the chat and let me know. But let's decide some things here just to get us started for a character before we get into our hero. So we want to know how old the character is. We want to know what gender they may be. Species, right? Maybe they're not human. Maybe they're a dog. I don't know. Figure that out, right? If they have powers or not, right? And of course, as a corollary to a power, whether they have a weakness, right? So an easy one is someone who has like ice powers or water powers. Their weakness might be the opposite of that, right? Which would be like fire or heat, okay? And then another thing that plays into our heroes here is the environment, or where they live, where they work, where they're from, okay? That all kind of under environment. For example, you know, Superman comes from Krypton, but his real main environment is Earth, for example, right? So he's here on our planet in the comics world. working moving there. So on your papers here, you can think about it here. Do you have any suggestions for what age any ideas? Invulnerable as a power. Nice. We'll look at that. Right down here. So everyone is here. Also, what makes a hero? Are they capable all the time? I think you have to think about in terms of their age in particular. Someone who's 14 is going to have a very different power set than someone who's like 30, for example, right? If you're saying invulnerable, I would say invulnerable to what? Right? Invulnerable to what? Right? Is their skin stone skin? Are they just really fire resistant? Right? Those are all kinds of things here. So let's see here. Weakness. Strawberry milkshakes. Okay, weakness. So if they see a strawberry milkshake sale, they're stopping to get that milkshake. Yes, we'll go for that. Any suggestions for age? Like I just put the age up here as a thing, but of course, think about it. It also affects how they look like. Shall we say, they like strawberry milkshakes? Let's go for like, someone who's a teen. Let's go 17. Let's go 17. All right. Are they human? Strawberry milkshakes. Let's see. What? I don't think. I'm trying to think of what animals would not be good with dairy. Right. That would not be good. Let's go with human to get us started. Something basic and easy. We can leave gender alone if we like. Strawberry milkshakes. Probably made some in the modern era, so we can get milkshakes, which would be tied into our environment, right? You have to have a place that makes them, right? So what milkshakes? So a diner. So this is kind of our brainstorming ideas section at this point. I'm trying to figure out what our hero is like, what they like to do, where they operate, that kind of thing. So locations that have strawberry milkshakes. Diner. They have strawberry fraps at Starbucks. Does that count as a milkshake? I don't know. Maybe. Starbucks, diner, make another kind of cafe, right? So that'd be kind of tied into the environment, right? All right, so 17, human, invulnerable, non-vulnerable to strawberry milkshakes. So let's start here. Let's start with some basic sketching ideas here. So for our hero, since we say, well, I just said the character is like 17. So we'll just start with like a basic body template here. Something basic. Just gonna draw some body forms using rectangles that you see here. I'm not too concerned with getting a lot of details yet. Just to get it started. This is what some people will commonly call the T pose. You probably see this in animation or comics. You have a character standing like this. You can see most of the details. So we'll use this first to get started for our character design. Right? And character design is basically the idea that you will decide as the artist or designer, what the character will look like, what they will do, and what clothing they wear, and that kind of thing. Right? So it's all part of character design. Here we go. All right, here's our standard T pose for our human. 17. And when we decide the gender, we can be androgynous. That is totally fine as well. So here we say they're invulnerable. So maybe if they're invulnerable, say they're like really tough, they may not be interested in wearing a lot of armor or anything, right? Because they don't need to. So let's see here. So I'm just going to follow my body design here, right? So I'm going to follow here, see what kind of outfit they may have. Maybe they have just like your standard like spandex suit that you see like the Incredibles would wear, right? So we can like make some details here. We haven't decided the gender, which is fine. So we can be more androgynous. I don't know. Do we want to do the underwear? The underwear look here. Let's see. I'll just do it that for now. We can make adjustments later. I'll just put it about there. There we go. Okay, maybe they're invulnerable, but let's see. Let's give them some shoes, say some boots. And you see here, I'm just drawing, like I said, using the basic shapes I've established before. I'm just drawing some other lines here on the body form. to give me some details. And of course, as you design your own characters, it will be different in terms of the costuming and, of course, assigning their powers. So like strawberry milkshakes, I think, put the neck there. Okay. Think about that. Let's see here. I can open this up here. Oops, hang on a second. Okay, so here, let me add some more information. So they like strawberries. Maybe they have a pink outfit. Let me just throw some quick color in here. So I'm using various markers here. There are various tools in this program. You don't have to do this if you're following along. You can just use your pencils here to give a color, but since I have access to color, I'm going to throw some color on here just to give us some quick background here. Go. Oops, it's big here. A little more purple than was. It's okay. All right. Let me see here. Any other suggestions for things here? Let me check. Oh, here we go. Some quick color. All right, so like I said, our T-score is kind of useful for, again, just setting up our design. So let me move this aside really quick here so we can get another view of our character as we develop it. Move this here. All right, so here I'm going to add just a side view so we can get some more detailing in of our character here. When you're doing your characters and you're designing your own heroes, you do want to see, like, this is obviously a front view for their the T-pose. You also want to show like a side view. It's useful as well. So you can draw your character at multiple angles in the same way. So I'm here, I'm going to just do some basic shaping, trying to match up what we have here. Just standing next to it. Very basic like this. And then here, I would just indicate like where the arm would be, but if you want to see like the details of where like the sleeves attach and everything else, sometimes you'll see in animation sheets that they'll have like the arm separate here. So you can draw the details and not obscure the side of the body here. There we go. All right, trying to match what we have here already. Belt here. I'm not going to color this side view in. So you want to do some turnarounds here. All right, so we can decide more details now on our hero. So we need to figure out what they look like a little more. I think we can use that. So what kind of, do we have any suggestions for haircuts? Whoops, sorry about that. All right, if not, I will just throw some things here. Zoom in a bit. Draw the face a little bit here. This pompadour. So I'm just using circular shapes here to give me a hairstyle right over the top of the head here. So, of course, it's going to match up here. So I'm going to match it up the side view. Poofy, like ice cream scoops. Going with the ice cream theme here, like so. Right. His nose. There we go. Kind of a jumpsuit that we got going here. Let's add some more details. Let's see here. What goes well with that color? Let's go. Little boots. Go. All right, so just quickly coloring some stuff in here. So the thing to think about your heroes as you're designing them as well, for example, is any accessories they may have. For example, a medieval knight will use a very different sword as compared to a samurai, and that ties into your story and what the character does with it. You wouldn't see the same kind of a weapon use, like even a simple saying something simple as a sword. You would have to think about what kind of sword your character is using, right? Is it a lightsaber, a light sword? Is it a broadsword? Is it a katana? All those kind of things are also determined by the kind of character and kind of story that you want to tell. You think about those details, not only because it is a different weapon, but also because how the character uses those tools in their fight against evil makes a big difference, right? So, for example, in the Harry Potter universe, you expect to have a wand, right? That's pretty typical. You expect to have a wand as a wizard, you're wearing wizard robes. That's all specific to that particular worldview that these are wizards, and that's what they wear. And similarly with Star Wars, you expect Jedi to wear, different kind of styled robes and have different tools to do what they want to do for their jobs as Jedi Knights. So this is all part of when you think about character designs of your heroes, what tools are they using? What accessories is also very specific to your world, right? In this case, I'm just trying this character here. We haven't decided very much quite yet. I would say probably modern times for the environment, just because you want to be able to make milkshakes. Yeah, so Avian posted in chat, yeah, Wonder Woman will be using bracelets and rope. That's correct. Like she's not, now in the comics, depending what you're reading, she's not one to use swords usually, right? Her abilities and her, she's invulnerable, she flies, she's pretty strong. She doesn't need a lot of tools, right? For example, right? But the tools she does use are like the slight armor on the arms and then her rope of truth, right? The lasso, the golden lasso that she uses, right? So, but that's also, and the way she dressed, right? If you're familiar with Wonder Woman, for example, very Greek Romanesque outfit, right? With the pleated leather skirt, right? And the armor that she uses, right? It's very endemic to her world, also very specific. Our character's looking like he's wearing pajamas. That's fine. Let me do some more detailing here. So these are all kind of things you have to think about when designing your characters. What we want to emphasize aspects of your characters, what makes them stand out. So let me show you something really quick. So in terms of superheroes, for character design aspects as well, if I were to draw the silhouettes, which character would this be? Right, very distinctive. It would be Batman, right? Very distinctive cowl and ear shape. Also in terms of character design. Also by extension, if I draw this shape, let me draw this shape here. Let me do that a little better. What character am I drawing here? 3 circles, badly drawn circles, right? And then add more detail. Okay, I won't get in trouble for this. Right? So 3 circles put together like this, you would say it's Mickey Mouse, right? So in terms of character designs, also, you can tell by the silhouette of these characters who they are pretty quickly. If I were to draw like Superman's silhouette, I mean, the only thing, would tell him that's here, actually him, is actually the spit curl he would have for his front of his hair. But other than that, like his face is not that distinctive, right? Like you would need the spit curl right here to tell you that's Superman. right? So, so those are those kind of designs choices you would have to make as a character design. So things to keep in mind when you're designing it, it'll work in silhouette, what choices you make as a hero, that kind of thing here. So that's a quick view of that part. All right, so let's go back to this sketch here. Let's see, what else do I want to add to this guy? So let me go back to our other descriptors here. What do we have to work with? 17, which is a human. Vulnerable, we haven't decided what yet. Diners here, and milkshakes. All right, so let's see here. So let me continue on with this part for now. Continue adding some more details to our sketch here. We have some design here. So let me add some other information for our characters. Let me zoom in here for our face. And here we go for pencil. So let me do details of face. So what I have here is some guidelines. So I'm going to draw on top of it here just to give some ideas for the face itself. So we can get some more information about our character here. Some eyes in here. Like so. I feel that someone who likes milkshakes is probably pretty happy. Don't think they'll be that angst-ridden. Smell here. So, some highlights. That. Let's get some eyes here. Detailing. All right, we'll go to the side view here. I'll make sure everything matches up. So make sure we can see that it is the same character. Drawn from this perspective here. Okay. Eyes are a little off here. Let's fix that. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have some coloration here. Let me just go and add some more detail for the hair coloring here. I don't know what color hair we want here. Make it black, I guess. Oh, maybe, yeah, that's fine. I can do some highlighting in a little bit. That. Okay, and I can lighten this up so I can see through it and erase through for the highlights. And a swirl look in the hair really quickly. Also doing the side view as well, so you can get that same look for the character all the way through. Going back to opacity, so you see that there. Some line work, could do a little more. There we go. A little more detail, a little more design there. Go. Okay, so let me tighten up the drawing here for a bit, just for starting. Okay. So if we go back to other sheets here, information. Okay, so diner, Starbucks. All right. Do we have any suggestions for possible, other than invulnerable powers? Any other suggestions for that? I think that's kind of hard to depict without them like breaking through something or breaking something. Let's see here. I do more of an action pose. Super speed. Sure, let's do this. Super speed. So let's do a running pose. Gonna start here with a stick figure, a little bit of a stick figure pose here. Leaning into it. Going back, forward. Like so we get this nice dynamic looking pose with the angle forward. And this fits up here. And then back here. So you see I'm using basic shapes here to give me the posing. This is like your standard run here. Let's see here. I can emphasize that a bit more. My hair kind of blow back a bit. Forward. So here, let me shade on here to go more our details. Over to determine look. As you see here, I'm just drawing over my previous pose here, just to get more details. For this kind of thing, I'm also adjusting some of the proportions a little bit to make sure they're more tighter. Like I noticed that this neck is a little too long actually here for the torso. So I'm gonna bring that up a bit here. And the torso is a little shallow. Bring the 3/4 turn here. So let's get outfit here. I'm gonna broaden the shoulders a bit to match. I said again, I'm just in the proportions to make sure that they match up here. So it looks like an actual human running here. And filling it in a bit. Slight angle. Drawing over the same pose. Like so. We have our belt. All right, for a basic one here. Running here. So I'm going to add slide here, goes forward. So torso, here's the leg here, and our boots. And the foot upwards. So it's running, and then this leg will come back. I'm going to emphasize a bit more by making it actually a wider stance. And back here to the leg. There we go, a little more proportional that way. That's a little too long, bring that in. So we have the character here. Actually, let me adjust this part. Neutral that side, making it that way. There we go. Running towards the milkshake. Maybe this is a milkshake sale. Let's change the expression a bit. Excited, a little more excited. A little hard to show emotions in the side view, but you can do it. All right. And then if you want, you can add in like speed lines here at the bottom. Show the ring through. You can add speed lines up here too, just to show more movement. They're speeding through here, like they're going that direction. There we go. All right. So let me think about what other poses we have this character do. Let's do, let's see, the anime pose stand, which is like the 3-point drop, the 3-point anime drop. You've probably seen that in many movies. The anime pose, let's do that one, very dynamic. So here, we'll start with a stick figure. So usually it's done, it's called a 3-point turn because you have 3 points of contact. So you have like the hand in front, and then you have like either the knee in front. You guys have all seen this pose. So usually one of the foot's on the contact and knee's the contact as well. So here's the back knee, back leg here, and then this other knees up here in front. Right, so you have 3 points of contact, this anime pose here, and the other hand's like either as a fist or something, or they're doing some other kind of pose. So let's do this pose here. For superheroes, a very common trope. You've seen this. So here's my stick figure setup. I'm going to make that a layer here. All right, so here is our pose. So I'm going to add in more basic shapes here to bulk the stick figure out. It makes it easier to move the details. So here's my head here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So character's head. This represents their back, their shoulders here in front. And draw their torso in. And like I said, the arm, angle it a little more here because the arm is a little further up. So the arm is in front. And I'll make adjustments here as I get the proportions correct here, because my stick figure pose may not be the right proportion. So here, I'm just going to have them a fist. And here, like the landed, right, slight angle here for the torso. Right, here's our neck here with our V, in form of 4. And then this hand here, maybe it's out being out here. Ready, and down. So here's a torso, a belt. And this leg is up. So this thigh right here is going to be foreshortened. So it's going to look really short here, but it's going to go in front. And then the knees in front here. Here we go for the boot. All right, so there's one point of contact here. So 1, 2, right, the hand, the other foot, and this other leg here will be tucked in behind. Right, so technically it's 4 points because it's the knee and the foot lines behind it, but they call it 3-point turn because you're not using this other hand here as part of the landing process, part of the land for that pose. There we go. Here's the other foot tucked in behind here. So there's the 3 points of contact there. So there's like your 3-point anime pose here, which is also kind of funny to see if you draw like a cute character doing it. So if I did a really quick one here, like your Chibi type character type, they're very small, very cute. So here's our like quote Chibi version, tiny little feet. There's our pose here, and then like the other leg is like you can't really see it because the arm's blocking it, but the other foot's there. Right. So like a Chibi version. So here's the arms here, the other arm is 1-point turn here. So 1, 2, 3 points of contact here, and the same kind of pose. Right. Based on that same kind of stick figure setup. So here, we go ahead and add the detail from the other character. Again, for our drawings here, we're going to try to be consistent on our character design. We had a pretty basic setup for our character design here. So here I'm going to dim it a bit so I can make the opacity, adjust the opacity, and draw the details here for our character in this pose. I'm going to add more details here. So here, let me have them look down a little bit. This is the angle of their head. Go ahead and adjust that. There we go. So the hair line will be down further, like so. Now it's down here. So I'm going to adjust this here and bring this arm here. And again, I'm going to adjust proportions as we go along. Just as you notice through your drawings, like I'm using a digital tool here, and I'm going through and I'm using layers here. Doing this. You can do the same thing for those of you at home with tracing paper if you have it. You also can use like your window. So you can put your underlying drawing like I did here with the stick figure pose initially, and then put the other paper on top of it to give you the light box effect. So you can draw on top of what your sketch is. Make mistakes all the time and just use pencil. Actually, I'm using a digital tool. For those of you at home who are following along later or now, you're welcome to use a light box. Like I said, Windows easiest choice. Or get tracing paper and just layer tracing paper on top. And the great thing about this also is that if you're drawing lightly, is the other way you can do it. You can also erase your pencil lines as you go, and you get inking it as well. So there's a lot of different ways you can do this layering effect in real life. As I just happen to be using a digital tool, but you don't have to use the same thing that I'm using. You can use other like real life materials to simulate the same kind of effect. I'll draw this foot a little wider out. So the knee here, I'm going to draw through the hand a little bit because it's right in front of it. And there we go. Adjust the foot here. Okay, so there's our character here, and our standard like detail anime pose here. And just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and do the Chibi version. Chibi just means small, a little in Japanese, but usually it's done with like a big head and tiny body, like I'm showing here. So usually the eyes are much bigger, more cartoony. I'm going to make the hair kind of big, almost as regular size as it is there, because it'll look ridiculous and cute on top. Right, almost the same size, but on its like small body. Right, I'm gonna not worry too much about the most details. I want to get mostly like the arm here. Right, we got a chibi. We're not worry too much about details, so I just use circles here. Is the other arm. Little fist there, and then legs are really small. Right, it's just like that, just really cute little small drawings, and just a little indication of the other foot behind here. Zoom out. So now, if you will, we have like a regular version of our character and then a chibi version, right? So here is our chibi, and here's like our regular edition type superhero edition pose. All right, and this is our, what we call the 3-point, anime landing pose. It's the thing to do. Right. Let's see here. Any other suggestions for poses? Let's see what we have here. Let's see, super speed here. Focus on there. Let's do like another pose here. Flying? Sure. Let's throw that in there. Let's see here. Well, we'd have no capes, but that's fine. We can totally do this. Let's see here. So flying, we'll do 2 full arms up front. Arms in front, like more of like a Superman kind of flying thing. Let's see if I can get this here. So again, I'm going to start with a stick figure. So everyone can do those pretty easily. So here I'm keeping in mind that I want to keep the shoulders here. This is where the head would be. To keep the shoulders and the hip parallel to each other, because that's how they would be in real life. So you don't want characters with their shoulders like this, and their hips like that, for example. It wouldn't work very well for flight, because why are their legs like over here dangling and their arms are forward? So you want to make sure if you're doing a flying pose like this, especially if they're going upward, that you want to keep the shoulders and hips pretty much parallel. Right. Again, this is just stick figures. I'll add the details later, but you don't want to do this. See, this doesn't feel right. Here's my legs here, his hands here. This part does not feel like, why are they flying like that? Something's wrong with their spine. So if they're flying, you want to emphasize like the line of direction of where they're going. And you want to make sure that this and this are like parallel, right? You want to make sure. I mean, you'll see other poses, which I can do a different flying pose, like your typical Superman pose, with some of this curve here, but let me do the straight on one first, and I can show how that works. All right, so now that we have our stick figure here, I'm going to go ahead, just opacity on my slider here, and do my basic shapes. So here, I'm going to go ahead, let's see, which view? So this view, actually, I can go either way. I can either show like the eyes going up this way, this is like, and then you see like, this is the chest here, or since this is the way I drew it, we go the opposite way and you see him flying away. So here, and his eyes will be like on this side. Does that make sense? All right, I can do both. Let's do the more direct one. You can see the face first. So here, I'm showing it from this view. Eyes up here. The chin, neck, Here's up here. So here's the hair, just to indicate that. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit so we can get more sense of that. I'm going to make my adjustments here for the neck. So obviously the neck is not that cramped. So move over a little bit. Move forward. There we go. So here is the chest here. And the arms forward. I'm going to obscure part of the guy's face here at this point. But let me get this other arm here locked in. All right, so if the arm is forward here, you're going to cover part of the face up. But you can see I'm just drawing through it. All right, there's the arms. So belt here. Then the legs follow suit. Right, so everything in the same flying direction here. And the shoes here. So pointing back with the feet. Okay, so that's like I said, you're just looking up. Okay, here's the neckline here. So that's one view of it here. So let me take this away here and I'll do the other view. So this is like if you're looking up, right? So this is, I'll do the one where it looks like it's flying away. So this is the back of the head now. So here, the ear, like so. You may not even see the nose here. So here the arms are almost the same position as the previous drawing. I'll overlay these so you can see it. You can almost see an overlap here for the head. So you see this other arm coming through here. And here's our hands. It's the back of the character here. It's our belt. And here, the legs coming back this way. So the legs are almost the same as well. They're just turned over. Same thing with the arms here. But the main difference you see actually in the arms is the overlap, right? So in this version here, the head is overlapping the arm versus the other version, which is the arm actually obscures the head a bit, like so. All right, same stick figure, different posing. And then we have our boots. And here you see the soles of the boots instead, right? The feet, because that's the bottom part of the view, versus the other one where you see the top of the shoes, the boots, like so. So like this guy's flying away, but also you notice that everything is still flying in the same direction, right? So you have this view here, we're flying away, and this one like flying around, right? So then like another stereotypical pose with not the shoulders and hip in parallel, which is like here's the shoulders and here's the hip. So someone who's kind of like hovering in midair, like it's a very typical like superhero pose like this. And looking down, arms extended, and maybe one leg further down this way, which I'll adjust in just a minute for proportions. Maybe one leg up, right? You guys have probably all seen this kind of typical kind of pose, right? So hands here, right? So we add our character to it. Adjust this. There's a stick figure here. I'm going to add, again, our basic shapes. Like you notice, I'm using a lot of rectangles, circles here. It is based on basic shaping. So here's our head. So our torso here is just a curved rectangle. It gets us started. Gives that mass. And then here, if you want a more detailed, help you out to get that foreshortening for the leg, you think of a cylinder. So our cylinder shape is like this. I use this a lot for arms and legs. You can rotate it, give us different perspectives, like so. This is what we do here for foreshortening. You can even have be more oblique with your foreshortening, like really tight in, like so. All different kind of angles you can do with it. I have basic shaping this way. So I'm going to bulk it up this way. For the feet here, you can think of like triangles, pyramids. So it's actually more structured, right? For the torso, As I said, it's a rectangle. You can think of it as a box. So your rectangular like cereal box, right? That's your torso, like so. And then keeping in mind, like I said, our details for our hero, right? So we have to make sure that everything lines up properly. All right, so let me go ahead and finish adding the leg here, the shaping. So we're gonna run a little bit of room, that's okay. Here, we want to bring more cylinder shapes here, give you that structure and give you that mass. So that's the good thing about using basic shapes like this, is that you can give mass and volume to your drawings. Especially if you're drawing superheroes, you want to make sure, now not every superhero is muscular, but you want to make sure they have mass. You want to make sure that they feel like larger than life. And if not larger than life, at least feel like they're, you know, have human aspects to help you out. So here's our pose here, here are the 3D shapes. So I'll take away this one here, just opacity here. So here, I will go ahead, add our details for other characters here. And actually, I'm going to move this up a little bit so I can give a little more space here for the foot. Just a little bit of space there. Okay, just a little bit. There we go. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and add the details for our character. You see, I'm drawing this cross line on the faces all the time. This gives me the eye line and the line for the face here. It tells me what directions I'm looking at. So this is looking down a little bit. Pull it in. Right here, I got the V-neck again. All right, here's our character extended out, arm. I'm going to bring the arm down a little bit for the sleeve here. So make sure we can fit it in box here. And put this in here, have this arm extended. Bring in a little bit though. So it is a teenager after all, we don't want to make it look too bulky. Get the nice curve there and a belt. And then here we have the foreshortened knee. So here is this knee here. And it comes in front. All right, this is boot. This other leg here is extended out, so we're going to bring that here. Pass the knee, and then put it down here. So typical, like kind of hovering, posing. So this is what you would say flying, right? Maybe we're hovering and flying, like compared to the previous pose. Right? We have a direction, but it's just kind of waiting there versus like actually trying to go somewhere. Here we go. All right. All right. Any other suggestions for poses for our character? No, maybe I should draw him eating a shell pie. Oh, you know what? A female power pose in the chat is not really a thing. I mean, okay, you know what I could do is that you can take any other pose, like a strong arm pose. Let's do that. I'll show you. So if I do a strong arm pose, what you expect, right? Like this kind of pose, right? Right? There's a strong pose, right? Like the arms up and everything. So it just depends on your character. I don't think there's any. They're all the same kind of poses. I mean, your character can do whatever you want. So you can make whatever pose you want. So I can use this strong arm pose. And how about, I know what I can do. I'll show you. So I'll show you a guy, then I'll show you a girl. But honestly, the pose is the same. The only difference would be the details that you will add for that character, right? So for example, let's just do another one here. Make that smaller. Just a sec here. Grab the wrong pencil tool. All right, here we go. So here, we'll just draw the same pose twice. And I'll draw a guy and a girl version of it if you like, no problem. But honestly, the pose would be the same. The difference will be the details. And that's it, right? And depending on the kind of story you're telling, the kind of character you have, that'll make the difference more so than whatever pose they have. So here, move that around. All right, so I'm going to go quickly here and add my shapes like I did before. Right, so if a typical guy kind of pose, if you're doing like a strong arm guy pose, you would use more of a tapered trapezoid. If you want to emphasize that, like think Mr. Incredible, he's really broad chested, right? He's really got that triangular like shape at the top here. Like where did the top here narrow at the waist, right? For female characters, there's a lot of different ways you do. You could do a female character with the same kind of body type if you like. But sometimes they're shown with that stereotypical hourglass figure, just because it's easier to indicate femininity that way. But you can also not have that as emphasized. You can go with a more straight, more tapered look a little bit here. Just a bit. You could just bring in a little bit, so not as broad, because just basically the guys will be bigger, but you don't have to have the stereotypical like this kind of silhouette, right? That's usually emphasized, but you don't have to have that. Think of Luisa from like Encanto, like for example, very strong, powerful character, does not necessarily have that hourglass type look, right? You can totally do that as well. So here I'll go ahead, we're not going to focus on the legs too much, but I'll go ahead and add them in. Again, tapering a little bit more here, refinement of shapes towards the feet. I'll do the same thing here. And then, it's just circles for the fists here. Form. Here. I'm not going to worry too much about the face since we're just talking about shaping for poses. So again, like I said, the difference will be in the detailing of this, depending on the character type, what kind of character they are. If they're both strong characters and that is their strength, then that will make a difference. But the details is what's going to make it. So here, so we'll just say this is the guy version here. So the guy here, like I can totally just do typical, like if you want to do like the whole body type thing, really emphasize it. So here, like the forearms would be much larger. Since the arms are raised, we'll have this really pronounced bicep. So it's curved on top and then more straight on the bottom. Curved on top, straight on the bottom, gives that emphasis. Drop the hands here. Whoops. I'm having a hard time. There we go. All right. Forearms, you have that tapered, but you're not too worried about the muscles here, because that's not the emphasis. The more emphasis in the arms like this is with this pose is having that deltoid, this rounded muscle here, show up really well. Forearm is not as much. Okay. Neck. So usually a broader neck, wide neck. And then you're going to follow this tapered shape here. Kind of straightens out, or you can have it really tapered. Like I said, Mr. Incredible is like a good example from that. He's got this huge chest bit like this. All right, and we straight line here to the hips. And then the legs, again, depending on the character type, can also have, again, a slight curve on the outside for the thighs, and then straight on the inside like that. Again, curved one side, straight line the other. And here for the calf muscles, just the opposite. So slight curve on the inside for the calf muscles here. Again, though, you can see that I'm following the basic shaping and then straight line on the other side. So you can do a lot, and you don't have to have a lot of anatomical body knowledge, but just knowing design-wise what works. Like curved line straight, you can see that emphasis there, right? This is certainly like a powerful guy. So if I do here for the girl, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. Again, depending on the character. Like I said, Luisa, for example, is a great one. From Encanto, she's got those big arms. So you want to make sure that if you're drawing a character like that, they have the similar kind of thing, right? That same thing, curved line, straight line, right? Again, forearms are not as emphasized in terms of musculature, just because you tapers down to the wrist. So you just want to make sure that you have that taper in there, but I wouldn't worry too much about the muscles there as much, just because it's not as emphasized as clearly, right? So Shan, again, a female character, you can have a wide neck as well, or you can make it a slightly more like normal size neck, just to emphasize some femininity in the character. right? And the main difference here would be also in the chest here, for example, for this character. So of course, if you're talking about a female character, it depends on their age, of course, but you have to consider that their chest will be shaped differently than a guy's. So here, depending on the character again, you may want to emphasize that a little bit. Let's see if I can get this without too much detail. So here, be a slight mention here, right? Again, depending on the character's age and what kind of character you're drawing. Let me adjust that just a bit here. You may not see their chest as well, right? Coming into it. You may have more emphasis here, for example, if their clothing shows it, you might see that more emphasized. And I can do that in the next one here, next part in a bit. You probably see more of that emphasized in the clothing that they're wearing versus this, very basic body shape. Here, if I want to indicate some femininity without resorting to like a very skinny hourglass look, you can emphasize a little bit more here with the hip, just a bit more to come out, and then come back in for the leg, right? You can do that as well. Again, emphasize some femininity. The guy's waist is probably about here. Female character's waist would be indicated a little higher just because of the shape of the female body. And that's not true for all female bodies, but in general, they kind of want to emphasize a little bit of that. So you have that in your character design. So you know how that works for the character. So here, and then again, I'm going to do the same thing. So slight curve on the outside, straight line on the inside, and then curve here. Again, for the legs. And like I said, I'll detail this a little more when we do some clothing right here. So you can see that. Like so. Straight down. Okay. So here, turn that one off. There we go. So again, we'll start with the guy here. Let's think here. Let me think about this guy. All right. So for the guy, I'm going to emphasize wider jaw. Right. Nice squinty eyes. He looks a little sleepy. Right. Very serious looking guy. All right. All right, so let me just draw like a basic t-shirt and jeans combo so you can see how this actually works better. All right, so here, like this character is wearing a tight t-shirt on top here. I'm gonna follow the shaping here because the muscles is a tight shirt, right? There's a little bit sleeve underneath here, gap, tight in, and then here at the waist, so belt. Like so. And then, like I said, just generic names. I know this is not really like superhero type stuff, but this actually will show you how you can emphasize different things in your characters as far as your heroes are concerned. So here, I'll give them tight pants though, but I'll just give them some cuffs here, fold it over for jeans, just to show you how you can draw the same kind of outfit and same kind of pose with, different, male, female characters here, and just like kind of generic shoes here. All right, now go ahead, draw the arms here again. So bring that in. This is here, same thing here. Something like fist. Okay, so there's your guy pose, if you will, right? So I'm going to draw the same character, but more feminine, more female, female bodybuilder here. So I'm going to have a more pointy chin, so more square chin. Kind of keep the same expression. Haircut. Well, I'll give her some hair in a bit. Right. So you can tell just a subtle choice difference is the chin choice. Like the guy here is a very straight line. It's just a slight pointy chin here. So here I'm going to get the same t-shirt. Female lead here. I said the main difference here will be in the creases of the shirt. So usually there is like the undershadow here and maybe some creasing here. But the actual torso, the actual chest area be about the same. But the main difference is having some folds here to indicate that detail there. Kind of come in a bit. Like so. Again with the pants. Do the same kind of jean style here. Just the bottom. Straight leg on that side, and then again, kind of generic shoes because we're not too worried about that. Those places. Go through to the hands. So this shows you, I guess I should add some haircuts. Let's see here. So this guy, generic. Very run the mill, kind of like, yeah, here's this guy haircut. And for her, let's do the same kind of part, but actually just a longer haircut. There we go. So same pose, both very strong looking characters, and same outfits, right? So the posing doesn't make too much of a difference. And in terms of like how you want to draw the character, the difference will be the details. Like in this character here with the female character, you know, emphasis on the chest area and the kind of clothing you wear. Sometimes the waist difference will make a difference here. I actually drew the waist a little lower here on the female character. So let me bring that up. It should be a little bit higher. Not by much. But let me bring that up here. And you can make all these adjustments easily with pencil and eraser. I'm just using, again, a digital program to make my adjustments. So bring that up also. Also makes a slight difference there. You can see it. The guy's torso versus the woman's torso there. All right, but underlying pose is the same. The difference again will be the details. Okay. Well, should I do some more examples of things? What do you think, Ileana, at this point? All right, so any others just for other kinds of poses? I'm just stacking them in here. Let's see, I've done flying. I've done flying so far, 2 different versions of flying. I've done like a strong arm type pose. Lettering? What do you mean by lettering? Like for comics? Hang on a second here. Oh, I just use a font. I'll be honest. If you're talking like sound effects, or if not, I still would use fonts. I'm not the best letterer, I'll admit. But I can go back here. Let me go back here. Let's see if I can add some. Let me go back to this guy here. So let's do this one here. So he's like landed here. Let me do this. Duplicate this and do some stuff with it. All right. So this, and let me use that here. So here I could do some like with a quick lettering. So here, if you wanted to do something like lettering, in terms of like dynamic sound effects, like this guy just landed, what I would do actually is bring this smaller so I can have some room for it. Yeah, I can do that. All right, so that's what I'm thinking. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead this. Let me erase this stuff here. Be faster about it. And let me rotate him a little more to make it more dynamic. So from here, in this character's position, the emphasis is in this point here, right here, right? That's the landing points, right here and here. So that's where the emphasis is. So you want your lettering to reflect that. So let's see, what's it called? Like, I don't know what sound would make. Like, what's a good onomatopoeia? Okay, we can use BAM. let's see here. So from here, what I would do, let me make it a little, just this here. Knowing that the impact point is here, you can do a couple different things. Like if he's just landed, for example, I can add, like if he's cracked some concrete, I can add some cracks here, some debris, for example, radiating from where the point of impact is, right? So he's got this little crater, they've got this crater around them, right? So you can also use this to set up your lettering. Like I said before, I actually don't hand letter my comics. I actually use a font instead, but I can just show you how, if I was going to handwrite this stuff. So here, cracks, like, some debris flying a little bit to show more of that force, that landing there, like that. There we go. So here, there's this crack here I've added. So I'm going to go ahead and then add some quote lettering into it. So you want to follow the same kind of ratio, right? So the center is right in here. So my lettering, if I was hand lettering this, to get more organic shaping. So my lettering, I think, bam. So if I do A, see how I'm doing my perspective here to match it? Just trying to think. And then also rotating it because it's kind of radiating around this point. Right, so I can emphasize that by making the letter M like move more this way. Like adjust the arm a bit. The trick with doing this kind of by hand, you can use a bunch of transform tools, and this kind of program for Superpaint has that. Photoshop has as well. You still have to make it readable, right? So that when I drew through that other part of the M there, it was not really that readable. It's really too distorted. So here I'm going to bring it in a bit, so it looks like it's right here. So there's that, and then the B, same thing. So I'm going to come from this point right here, almost parallel to the picture frame here. Interesting enough. So I'm going to think about how that radiates outward. So the bottom part of the B is going to be quite wider. So B, notice like the actual side of the B here shows up as almost parallel to the picture frame. So you can do that. And then if I really want to do like explanation points, emphasize that. And this is, again, something you can do in a digital program to distort your letters, especially if you are using a font versus hand lettering it like I'm doing as I'm doing here. Again, I emphasize that this is not my forte, so it's kind of freehanding here. Actually, I bring that in more. Hang on a sec. Do it actually more in parallel to this. There we go. So there's like your emphasis. So your combination of the pose, debris, you will all separate that also with color and use of background, just to show how that will work out. Like in this case, I would definitely say like you want this bam part within the land to show up on top of the debris. Like you would color that so it'll be opaque, and then layer the other elements of the pictures underneath it. Okay, so let me group this together as a BAM folder, so I know what that one is. And then what else would be? Okay, let's take the one of the flying ones. Let me go back and find it. Okay, this one or the other one here. Either one of those will work. Okay, so let me duplicate those in a second. Let's do some different takes here. So let's do this one first. All right. So here, let me adjust the opacity. So here, the character is like flying away. So if we did a whoosh, you want the whoosh to follow the same kind of direction. So here, help me out. I actually would try to draw some parallel lines, best I can, and move it over a bit. Let's move this character over a bit. Right. So kind of emphasize the flying part. You can either do it one of two ways, I think, in this character type. You can write the whoosh, maybe flying away. You can write it at this kind of direction, right? Because you read in this way, left to right. The other way you can do it, which may or may not be as effective as doing it this way, right? Which actually, this second way actually falls more in this direction here that may not be as readable, because again, the reading orientation for English is left to right, left to right, top to bottom, right? That's the reading orientation for English. So this is closer to that, right? This one here is closer to that versus this one, because you're reading basically top to bottom. You're reading top to bottom, but it's more right to left, if that makes sense. So it graphically depends how you want to approach it. I'm sure, like I said, I'm not the best letterer. There are many different ways to approach it in terms of how readable it will be, right? So, but like for this character here, like I would almost want to do this one, even though it's a little more complicated to pull off, it's because it flows well this way, because he's going the same direction, right? So for the same thing here, if we reverse it and we use the other pose that we have here for the flying one. So this way, so this one here, if I added that in there, for example, let me adjust the opacity here just a bit. So here, that's the same direction, but it's a different field than the previous one. So here, if I were to do that, the whoosh, right, in this way, actually reads a lot easier in some ways, right? Going in this direction, doing it. If I were to use the same kind of whoosh I did from before, in this way, since you're seeing the character's face in particular, it feels like it's slowing him down, because you're reading in this direction versus the character going the opposite direction. So those are the kind of things you have to think about when you do your sound effects. In this case, I would not try to use this, right? So that's not what I would use. But so the other one works a little better either way, I feel like, depending on what you want to accomplish. But in this case, like, again, like I said, writing it in this direction here is going to feel like it's stopping from flying off the page. That makes sense, right? Again, the orientation makes a difference. So here, again, if I write it, whoops, let me get a bigger pen. So I put whoosh, and like a big thing like this, it feels like it's slowing him down, right? Because you're reading it in this direction, so it feels like it's not working very well, right? Right, so those are kind of considerations you would have to do for your sound effects. And the previous version, like we had with the BAM, that one in particular shows integration, right? Shows integration of the lettering inside of it and works with it, right? You still, the lettering still points to, a second here, come on, give it to me. Still points in this direction here, right? To the central focal point of impact of the landing, right? So you want to make sure that matches that way. So sound effects are tricky. It depends how you want to do it. Again, like I said, there's so many digital fonts. I would just use that instead of trying to hand letter yourself, unless it's very specific to you. I know a lot of mangaka artists, they will hand letter everything because it won't be the same. It's very integral to the artwork. But if you're starting out, I would just use a font that you think will work and then manipulate it to make it work like this. How this is like all angled into this one point here, right? That's how I would approach it. All right. Any other questions about that part? We still have some time left here. Oh, sure. No problem. You're welcome. All right. Good to see this character's doing that. Here are your new gym instructors. All right, no problem, Leon. All right. All right, well, there's no further questions then. I want to thank everyone for showing up for this. I know we didn't talk as much about character design in terms of story as much as it's just a short amount of time together, but I hope that you keep on drawing and that you keep on working on it. It does take a lot of practice, and I've been drawing for quite a long time, so don't feel like Don't feel like it's something that you have to get immediately. All right. Like I said, keep on drawing. I recommend that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Karen. I feel like you're right. Every time we're here and we talk through either your in-person programs when you would do these programs at the Mix, or our branches, or even virtually for the last 2 years, there's never enough time. There's never enough time to go through it. And you always tell me that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then we're in it. And I
Right?
believe you. So, I mean, that's just a testament to
Right.
the detail that you put in, and
Thank you.
that it takes to be able to do this. So thank you so much.
Great. Well, thank you for having me. Happy to do it. Happy to share what drawing tips I can with folks.
Wonderful. So we have contact information for Karen in chat. So follow her on Twitter, on Instagram. If you have your sheros ready to share, please share them with us and tag us. Thank you again, Karen, for being a fantastic library partner and sharing your wonderful skills with us. We'll have this recording up for a bit, so you can go ahead and share that with your friends and family. If you love today's program, check out our calendar for more virtual Her Story programs. And that's all for today. So take good care, stay safe, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much, Karen.
All right. Thank you for having me. All right. Catch you next time.
Okay.
All right.